I was hoping that we could start this meeting by going around and saying, who we are, where we're from, and what we're looking kind of what we're looking forward to accomplishing as a part of the community engagement committee. So that and to kind of get acquainted with each other and what we're working on and where we kind of see ourselves going would be great. So I'll start. I'm Liz Sarah and I'm from Bristol, and my intentions are to help. A huge part of board work is to be a bridge between the community and the school district. So I would hope that we would, and so we do have a charge, and it's we want to be able to get information out and engage our community with our school, with them kind of like everybody having a chance to know something about what's going on and to bring community feedback into the board work that we do. So that's what I see. And then on the screen next, I have Nancy.
I'm Nancy Cornell, and I live in Starksboro, and I've been on this committee for a long time. My intention and hope is that our committee can design systems and structures that build trust and foster two-way communication between the board, the board and administration, and the communities they serve.
Thank you. Elisa?
Hi, I'm Elisa. I'm from Bristol. I'm a community member. This is my 5th year on this committee, and I am still trying to figure out what I'm doing here. So that's all I got. Sorry.
Kristen?
Hi, I'm Kristen Toy. I'm school board member from Starksboro. And what I hope for this year, would really love to be able to connect a little bit more directly with each community. Specifically, what I'm kind of thinking, envisioning, would be at the school level, at each elementary school, somehow be able to get a better idea of what folks are looking for from us, and also utilize that space as a place to communicate what the board is doing, and just some sort of like an advisory almost, if that makes sense.
Meredith?
Hey, everybody. Nice to meet you. Yeah, Kristen, if you could just turn off the volume on your computer. Okay.
Sorry.
My name is Meredith. I am the newest board member. I'm from Bristol, and I'm hoping that we can find more opportunities to get our community to engage with us and be good listeners and good trustees for what our community is hoping for the education of their kids.
And then we have Kathy Cashman. I don't know if you're interested in speaking up, telling us where you're from and
Sure.
what you're interested
Yeah.
in.
Hi, I have my camera off. I'm in kind of transition. I'm from Moncton. I have 3 kids. I have one at Moncton Elementary. I have one at Mount Abe, and I have a preschooler in the Heinsberg area that will be moving into MCS, Moncton Central School, in the near future. And my intention in this meeting is listening in and also knowing that I have 3 kids kind of spread across 2 counties and 3 different school systems, and just wanted to listen in tonight, honestly. So I have my camera off because I have my 3-year-old, and then the other 2 will be getting home shortly, just for transition time and kind of privacy matters. I have my camera off right now.
Of course, thank you so much for joining us, and feel free to pop in anytime with some ideas or perspective or anything that you're thinking, that would be great.
Yeah, I used to actually be part of a lot of these meetings when they were face to face, when they first started off in the separate school districts. And then kind of, I think that was like 3-4 years ago, but I was an original member and then I had a baby during COVID and my schedule kind of changed. So I wanted to kind of rejoin. So here I am.
Awesome. So we'll start off by, if anybody, so we need a chair officially. So I will do my
I'll
best.
nominate you for chair.
Thank you. And is anybody else interested in? Nope.
Liz, just for clarification, I think this relates really more to the committee in general. And I can't remember how we've done it in the past, but I think it may be true that while all board members and community members are on this committee, the board members are the only ones who can vote, or how, is that the case? You think it's true, Kristen?
That seems to be the case.
Okay, okay. So just so we're clear about that, obviously, we're gonna try to make decisions by consensus, but when it comes to things like electing a chair, I mean, it seems like also that the committee's officers, whoever's taking minutes and whoever is the chair needs to be a member of the board. Is that the case?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Thank you, Nancy. So if we have the motion,
To appoint a chair.
yeah,
So moved.
all right. By Kristen and Meredith. And I think one thing is we don't need seconds because our group is so small.
Yeah.
And then motion passed and that little bit of work is done. So, so we'll vote when, I don't know. Yes, approved. All right. It's awkward with just a couple of people. This is not my strength. But I'm looking forward to when Beth comes back in, we'll probably get some more equity work updates. I think she has a better pulse on that. We do also, I'll say, have a new, actually 2 new student reps to the board. I got a text from one. So Lily Ryer's back from Starksboro. And that's really exciting. So she'll be joining us at our board meetings. I invited her tonight just so she could start to get a sense of what's going on. And then I'm still, I don't have the name of the other young person yet. That's exciting. And does anybody have any thoughts about the, just almost this is the quicker thing to me, is whether anyone has any thoughts about the engagement plan that's in the resources and planning document. Starts with a little quick timeline for what the budget could look like, budget engagement, and it really just follows years past of what we've done for those meetings. Do you have anybody have any feedback that we might want to change on that before we move forward as a board on picking dates for, I think we did settle on a November date.
Well, I do have, so you're not thinking about you're thinking about a November date about the budget, but also an October engagement opportunity?
Yes, the October is the part that I'm hoping we'll spend our night talking about tonight. Because so what I heard at the last board meeting was that we have, so for the rest of the plan beyond that, it's just a general timeline of what the dates would be and what we'd be doing. But then October is where we have a lot of flexibility, because it sounded like the board was interested in us going about it as we are interested in going about it. So, and that it would be us right? It's not a full board. It would be our group. I mean, it could be from 6, I mean, I don't know what sounds simplest to people, but hashing that out and figuring out exactly what that will look like is what I'm excited about doing tonight, and then spreading the word, getting on Front Porch Forum.
Well, I mean, I think it's a great idea to have an informal engagement opportunity before turning to a more singular focus on the budget. And although the budget could be part of that conversation as well, because I know lots of people want to talk about taxes and worries about taxes. But I guess you know, in keeping with what Kristen said when she introduced herself tonight, I'm wondering if it would, I mean, I think it's a great, I think this, you know, thinking about this schedule is a great idea. And I think that this kind of engagement planning is just what we need to be doing. My suggestion is that in all of these meetings, beginning whenever we begin, and we can talk about whether there's time in October to actually schedule something we can get people to come to, given that everyone's so consumed with Halloween, at least they are around here. I'm just wondering whether it would make sense to have these engagement meetings in each of our schools. And so we might plan an agenda, and I have some ideas about an agenda for the first one, but then hold them in each of the elementary schools, and also at Mount Abraham, maybe as part of the community council at Mount Abraham, I'm not sure. And then in each school, at the meeting in each school, there would be a facilitator, and a common agenda across all the schools, more or less, with flexibility. And then at the school meetings, the board members who represent the town where that school exists for the elementary schools could attend those, you know, their respective meetings. So there would be 4 or 5 meetings. I just think if we really want to engage people, meeting them where they live is going to be helpful.
Could we also like buy pizza or snacks? Give a reason why people would want to show up beyond just talking to all of us?
I think we can engage with, or there might be a way to, because we have a really great nutrition program, and I think in the past they have, we have been able to work out snacks and drinks kind of a thing. So that was good. So snacks and drinks. And then I noticed we had,
I guess for starters, before we decide about whether it's October or November after the election, for starters, I was just thinking about a pretty informal agenda a lot, and the 2 questions I was thinking would be useful to have people talk about would be these 2 questions. The first one is, what is our school doing well? And the second question is, what do we see as opportunities for growth in our school? And we might, what we might do, depending on the size of the group we get, we might have people, you know, turn and talk to each other on each question and then kind of share out with the larger group. Sometimes that helps people get people's juices going. But it just seems to me those 2 questions would lay a great foundation for, at another meeting, starting to talk about the budget.
I love those questions, Nancy.
yep, I agree. And I was hoping to start the meetings with a little follow-up about the surveys that happened this year. So a little data recap of what we learned from the Listen Up and the related surveys to that, about needs that students expressed and communities as areas of growth. And we certainly had the survey related to the budget that had that informational page, kind of like the FAQ sheet. So if we can, I don't know that it's a presentation necessarily, but somehow front loads an informational page, or have that on the invitation. Somehow I would like to include feedback that we've already gotten from previous community engagement, even just this year, even if we whittle it down to that. So I did include several years of community engagement feedback in the resources, but what do we think would be a priority or a way to share back what we've learned and heard so far?
Well, I think if we front load that, it's going to restrict what people have to say. Maybe if we, on the other hand, I absolutely agree that kind of information needs to get back to people. Has it gone out to the community before this?
To
So,
an extent, there's been links, but not really, not thoroughly, and not in a way that we certainly haven't had any follow-up conversations as a community from the Listen Up screenings and all of that. And that was
so I mean, I
really
think as an introductory move, if we're going to use that data, we wouldn't want to do it ahead of people addressing those two questions I was listing. We'd want to do it after that. But I also think we could also send it to people after the meeting, because we'd be collecting their email addresses. And we'd be able to share that, say, at the end, say, we do have some, in addition to the data we've collected from you tonight, and the conversation we've had tonight, we have collected some other data that may be of interest to you, and why don't we send it to you, by email? I think if people think that the answer to these questions has already been done, it'll keep them from feeling free to contribute to their own answers.
I guess I think maybe a link in the invitation just to show that we've seen it. So maybe not like a presentation at the beginning of the meeting, but just linking it just to show, because the budget related feedback was very budget related, right? And the Listen Up feedback, and then Elisa, I saw your hand, was very like mental health. It was very, substance use disorder. It was very, all of those. I mean, it's listed out in list of priority of really a different kind of, so it's very broad. So it does seem like it's, even if, just that list of topic between those two engagement processes was so wide, that hopefully it wouldn't narrow it down too much, but I don't know. I can see, I see what you're saying. What are your thoughts, Elisa?
Me. Well, I did have one question first, and maybe you can answer easily. When I looked at the surveys that you sent out copies of just a little while ago, I didn't see in there the results of the survey from the adults that came to the showing for the community the year before the showing for the School of Listen Up. I didn't know if those were filtered into or added into the other community survey, but there were 3 surveys. There was the student survey, the community survey from Front Porch Forum, and then the one that we actually took from people that came to watch Listen Up at the first showing. I didn't see those results in there anywhere because they were a little more heavily in the anti-racist education than the other surveys were. So I just wanted to know if we'd lost them or what. And as far as what Nancy, as far as what you're suggesting, and both of you are suggesting, I think there's pros and cons to each one. And I fall somewhere in the middle. But I do understand what Nancy's saying, and there's probably some truth to that. I think the thing that has been missing that I've noticed that's happened kind of has become a habit, and that is, so people came to the Listen Up thing that we did a couple of years ago. And if it weren't for Jennifer, who took it on herself to email everybody that came to say, thank you for your feedback, and we're going to get you together again for another group. And there were a lot of people from that group that were interested in coming back for one of our groups that we wanted to hold. But that never happened. And I still have people that come up to me that were at Listen Up saying, how come we never got to be in a group? So I think it's not so important that we say everything we already have learned ahead of this particular, whatever it is we're going to do, but it's direly important that we reconnect with them afterward somehow and say, and really thank them for their participation and tell them what's going to happen with about what they said. Like, that's what I hear repeatedly is, I keep coming, I keep doing surveys, but I never know if they even got my survey. I never know. Nobody ever reached back out to me for from my information. And then that adds to the division between the board and the community, because nothing ever happens with the results from whatever. So I think that then discourages people from coming back to other things. So I just wanted to say, I think it's really important to follow up with people. And I still have a feeling that there may be enough people in that from that Listen Up showing that would come and do a group of some kind if they were asked. And I'm pretty sure Jennifer has all the emails from that still.
So that's awesome. Would that be a different thing? Do you think, or sorry, go ahead, Krista.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if, can you send us those email addresses so that the board can respond and just say, proactively, on behalf of the committee, this is what we're working on. Because I think coming from the board would be important. Oh, I think you're muted. I'm sorry.
You have the emails. Jennifer got them from you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was being more specific about the people that are still reaching out that are.
Oh, they're just people that I see on the street.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I misheard then. Okay.
No, these are people that just walk up to me and say, whatever happened with the feedback from Listen Up, and why didn't we have a group?
Got it. Okay.
Well, but that does represent an opportunity, maybe separate from the meetings we're talking about, like you said, Kristen, that, and like you're suggesting, Alyssa, that with the email contacts we have, it would be possible for the board or this committee to do a couple of things. To send out the results of the surveys that people have not received, and then to get a summary of what equity work is underway in the school district now. And Beth would be able to help us with that, I think. And that would be and I think that's an important thing to do. It won't solve, I mean, it in a way it's not wholly connected to the meetings we're talking about planning, but it could become connected. We don't know because we don't know who will come to those meetings. But I think reconnecting with the people, as you said, Elisa, who have come and who were expecting to see the results, would be an important step to take.
Yeah, I hate to see people be forgotten. And one of the main reasons we did that Listen Up presentation was to do a group with the people that came.
Well, that may be something that may be something that we want to pursue, but I don't think that is what this group of
Yes,
meetings
Nancy, but
is.
my point is, following whatever group we do, there needs to be a follow-up soon after the group back to the new people that come to the group. I feel like we learned that we need to get better at that. So I'm not suggesting that this be a group instead of the group that is trying to form now. I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm just saying we have learned from that group, that we need to do feedback after whatever group we're about to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, it's not funny, but it's an interesting challenge when we're talking about these basically monthly meetings, engagement meetings we might do in each school. We can hope that the people who come to the first one want to come to the second one and the third one and so forth. But chances are some of the people will be the same and some of the people will be different. And, you know, I was looking at I think we need to let it be fluid. And it's sort of the mantra I've used in the past in creating group opportunities like this is that whoever comes are the right people who need to be in the room, you know, and some of them will be the same and some of them will be different. And also, if we build it, they will come.
So I know that I'm the newest person to this process. So if this isn't the way that we do things here, please let me know. But I'm wondering if maybe it makes sense if before we kick off our community engagement meetings, what if we did a front porch forum post with some nice infographics and just an explanation of like, this is what we heard from you in Listen Up and in the surveys. These are the issues that we're looking to solve with this upcoming series of meetings. We would love to have you at each of your local schools on these dates. See you then.
These are the issues. See you then. Right. And what the nice thing about starting the meeting with the questions.
Sorry, Nancy, I
that
didn't
is-
hear you.
Oh,
Well, I'm worried about connecting them too closely up front. But I do think that it makes sense, Meredith, that Front Porch Forum might be a great way to reconnect to those survey results at some point. I mean, it's one way, but another way is certainly to email the people who participated because we have their direct, contact information.
Definitely.
But I really do agree that Front Porch Forum will probably be the best way, although not the only way, to get people to come to these monthly engagement meetings. And I also think food is a brilliant idea.
So I would say, I just want to add in that looking at this paper here, Elisa, I do not see like that specifics. We had a rating in the survey at the school, and I don't see that specific rating here, but I do, knowing Krista and her style of putting information together, since really at the top, we do have academics and curriculum, but second is diversity and inclusion. Curriculum, educating students about diversity and intolerance, accessible to people, all of those. So I do think I can reach out to her and see if there's a specific from those paper surveys where people circled, right? And they circled their priority list. And so I will ask her about that. But I do think that this summary, knowing her, it really folded it all together in not as much of a prioritizing way as a kind of more comprehensive way. And I just feel pretty strongly about not losing that, right? And I would like this to be a part of these forums that we're putting together. I don't think they have to be different. I think when we talk about the budget, one thing that stuck with me from our last meeting was focusing the feeling that it would be nice if there were two boards, right? I think our one board can be both. I think that we can talk about inclusion and the tax rate. I think it does all affect each other. And I think them being in the same room and happening at the same time and all of these topics, because it's not just one or the other, it really is both. And I think they can happen in the same room at the same time. And as a board member, we do have to consider access to education in all of the ways. And a lot of it is of concerns we hear from the community are about our how people feel in school and what their day is like and whether they enjoy being there. So I connecting those dots and having it all be a part of the same conversation, I think is important because we have to figure out how to make those connections. So thank you. I couldn't figure out what like, sorry.
I also think it's, and again, like, I apologize that I don't, like, if I'm just saying all the wrong things here being new, but I also think it's really important to show people that we're listening to them. If our goal in this community is two-way communication, part of that two-way communication is making sure that people are feeling deeply heard.
Thank you for that. That's what I've been trying to say. And I was going to suggest the front porch forum thing too. And so I didn't think it would be received well, so I'm glad you said it. So I do think I'm just a community member. That's all I am. And if I saw something on Front Porch Forum saying there's going to be, please come to this meeting and tell the board what you think, I would not go. But if I saw an email like what you said, this is what we've heard from you, and now we're ready to hear more and work with those topics, I would go. And I don't think I'm the only community member that feels that way. So thank you for that. I'm greatly appreciative.
And then we know that people will talk about the budget and we know people will talk about the tax rates and absolutely. And all of that will be open and on the table for discussion to be filled in with those two questions really cover it all.
Yeah.
What do we see as opportunities for growth? That's right there. That's really, really across the table and strengths, right? That gives that chance for that community and that individual town and individual school to say what they see is going well. I'd love to share that out. So
I
think
just another perspective.
Mhm.
I can't remember. I don't believe, I know I went to listen to one of the Listen Up. I did watch Listen Up. I don't remember the surveys at all. And if I thought that these meetings we're planning were a follow-up to that, I probably would not come.
think anybody's
Or
suggesting.
I might or I might not, but I don't think I would if I thought that it was a connection to something that happened before. I guess I see this, what I'm envisioning as kind of a new beginning that will inevitably connect to many of the conversations that happened related to Listen Up, but that is designed to welcome as many people as want to be in on the conversation as possible, whether they were part of Listen Up or not. And so while I strongly think that there's a way to get information, not only a way to get the results out to people, but also a way to update people through what Beth has to report, update people about equity work in our schools. I don't see connecting it to these meetings up front as a way that will be as welcoming to everyone as I'd want it to be.
I totally hear you, Nancy, and I agree. I think if we position our upcoming series of meetings as a follow-up from what we've done in the past, that we're potentially shutting our doors on new people that want to engage. So I'm wondering, what if we could frame it as like a beginning of the year pre-test that we do with our students? Like, this is where we were, and this is our story of how we got to this point. And where we want to go is we want to have two-way communication between our school district and our community. And we want our community voices to be involved and to be heard in this process this year. So here's where we're starting, and it's in your hands where we want to take this moving forward. Or is that too cheesy?
No.
Awesome. I like it. I think we've got good progress, and I don't, so I think I can put together what I've heard tonight. And then I love the way that you're saying that and the way that you're doing this. So maybe if I could send you a little summary, Meredith, of what we kind of thought about tonight. And then if you could write up a front porch, would you be comfortable kind of writing one up?
Absolutely, as long as you all don't mind reading it ahead of time, because truly I have no idea what I'm doing and I don't want to put the wrong thing out in front of the community.
Sounds awesome. And we will now let's kind of figure out our dates, because a part of it is going to be these are the opportunities. And if it's us, and then we're also specifically inviting the board members from that town, we should be able to pick dates ourselves. So we're talking about 4, maybe 5. And to me, this is, we have to do certain, we do have a structure that there is a section of our community, a community members who count on our specific board meetings that are specifically budget related. And there's a presentation that tells us what's going to be in it and what the changes have been. And I think this is separate from that process. Completely, really. And then we'll still follow the routine that we've always done, so that can be relied upon for those who are engaged with that. So should we pick dates right now in towns and then reach out? And if we can kind of have an idea, I can reach out to each school and include that in what I send you, Meredith, once I've heard back and know whether or not the school gym or library, wherever they'd like us to hold it, would be available.
Well, before we would pick dates, I guess it would be important to talk about facilitation and who we might call on to do that work, which is no small thing, but not insurmountable by any means. And also, I wonder if we should also talk about what we think about whether we want a virtual option for these meetings or not. because that makes a huge difference in terms of what kind of technology we might need to have on hand or not.
What's always made the most sense in the past and what we did this spring was a virtual meeting that was just a virtual meeting. And then the in-person meetings were just in person. Does that make it easier? I felt that made it a lot easier to just say, hey, this is our Zoom meeting night, and all 4 towns could participate that way.
I just wanted to add that if we want to get the most people to come and be involved, I feel like we have to offer all the platforms possible. So I'm a fan of hybrid, but I guess you have to tell me what you mean by when you said that happened before, the all in person, all Zoom.
When just in that 1 week right after the budget, maybe
Yeah.
this second one.
Yeah.
So we just kind of threw it together. And I don't know if that's, so then there were just some in person and then there was a Zoom, and it all happened in a week and a half.
Yeah.
There wasn't much notice on that either. It's a little hard to use that as a way to judge what would work. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I feel 2 ways about it, you know, I wish it could all be in person. And I know that not everyone wants to do it that way, but the quality of the conversation is very different, as we all know, when we're in a room together.
And there's something about not being recorded as well, just to be honest. Like, there's something about not being on camera that is nice. Even though I'm always on Zoom, and if there weren't for Zoom, I wouldn't be able to participate in so many things. So I really appreciate Zoom a lot, but there's a comfort level that's nice not having a camera, you know? Kristen.
I don't know if you could, oh, you can hear me. I think something that we need to keep in mind, I definitely understand and agree with both points. People will definitely be apt to engage a little bit more if it's in person. But I'm also thinking that with the coming months and the weather that's coming with the coming months,
Yeah.
we may not get as many people that would show up, you know, if there wasn't, you know, I think we need to keep that, I think we need to keep our options open. No.
Well, and maybe if I'm looking at the schedule, Liz, you were talking about, there's apart from what we might do here, there's some meetings that the board puts on around the budget. And when I look at the list that you sent, that's part of the community engagement, ongoing work topics, you know, that whole document. When I look at those, is it the November and December? There's a formal budget meeting in January after the budget's all, I mean, it's, that's after it's set, right? Well, no, there's one right before the budget gets warned. That's the January meeting. And then there's the formal statutorily required budget meeting in February before the voting day. Those are both big board meetings. Those aren't by school.
No.
They don't take place in they're whole district meetings, right?
Yes.
And so then going back from there, a December meeting, I mean, the warning gets set in January. Does the board intend or want to create a budget building meeting that includes the community, where there's a presentation and they get a sense from people who show up about what people think is a good idea or what they don't? I mean, what,
I'd really like, yeah, I'd really like that to be the 12th. I'd really like the November to be the 12th. December is an opportunity. So if we have, on the 12th, I'd like it to be that, really what you're describing. Because in December, there's really 2 weeks, because there's 2 weeks of vacation and the board meets. And that would be the time to process what we heard in November, really specifically related to the budget.
and so in November, you're thinking this will be a time for community members to say what they think the budget priorities should be, given a list of choices that the board, that the administration puts together, or what is that?
Whatever, yeah, so, I mean, so we already have had a budget presentation, so that could be sent out. Like we have something. We're working as early as we can and getting as much as we know, knowing so many things could change, right? I know you've been following, so you've heard the process.
What we've heard
know,
is that the need to cut but somewhere between $2 and $2.6 million out of the budget. I mean, that,
yeah, that's a conversation.
given the
as well.
things we don't know, that's quite a position to be taking, but that's what the superintendent has said.
Right. And it's certainly a conversation starter, and part of the conversation might be disagreeing with that altogether, right? And saying that's not a position to take, right? Like that could be part of that. So I do think we need a meeting like that to say, here is what we're looking at as maybe a necessity, and like as a potential need. And having that conversation and maybe saying, hey, that doesn't make sense. Advocate to the legislature. This may not be a need, but I think that's a worthy Zoom to have district wide, without just like a regular board meeting, right? We've got people in the library and all of that. This other approach that we've been talking about, and really just October didn't have anything, and November has Thanksgiving and a week off of school, and December has 2 weeks off of school and Christmas, and there's endless activities for that. So
Yeah.
even if it's, we start to run out of time and opportunity. And I do think we need to present the most current information we have on the 12th to whomever would like to know. And I think that's that traditional process. And that's how else are we gonna get feedback? But
Well, I mean, I think that
somehow
as you
I'd like to
describe it,
get this other
the
process.
October meeting, an October meeting and a November meeting could be in each school. And then the December, I mean, the January and the February probably have to be a big district-wide meeting. December, it's arguable. I don't know if we know yet.
I feel
I
like
mean,
before the meetings, what can we put out to our community? I read in the notes somewhere the short budget video. Like what can we front load to our community before we even have these engagement that people can watch at home on their couch, or they can read, before they come to these engagement meetings. I think that would help. The more information, facts versus what's being said on the street, that we can offer to the community before. I don't know if we can do that before it's already October, but certainly before that November 12th. But I think we should invest a little bit of time in doing that. I think all the information's there. We just have to put it together and somehow even get it on our website, just those short.
The thing is, though, Beth, the Legislative Commission on the Future of Public Education in Vermont is charged with coming up with a short-term and a long-term solution to the tax burden of public schools in the state. And that commission is planning to put forward its short-term recommendations to the legislature in mid-December. So it's not going to be until mid-December that we have an inkling of what the legislature is going to do that will vastly change and have an impact on what amount of cutting or not needs to happen in our school district. And so I'm not saying that's convenient because it's really not, but that is what their plan is.
Yeah, I did catch up with you there, and I've watched all their meetings and read all their minutes, so I'm up with you on that. And what I understand though is a little different in that, yes, they may make some choices, and that's the unknown. And all we can share about that is that they're going to make some decisions that will impact this year's budget.
Well,
What
those
we
will be
do know,
recommendations. I mean, it's worse than that, Liz.
right,
Those are going to be
they may or may not.
recommendations to the legislature, and then the legislature is going to mess around with it and decide what it's going to do. So it's not going to be simple.
Yeah, and I guess
Right, and so-
what I'm proposing, sorry, Liz,
No,
I'm
go ahead, yeah.
proposing is that what I've heard from the community is that we're not transparent and people want to know the process and what we're doing. And right now I'm with the other administrators building a budget despite the legislation and what's happening, but we're working on it, and this is how we're doing it. This is how decisions are being made about where cuts are going to happen. Or we're not that grain size yet, but I feel like that's what the community desperately wants to know, is the process of what we're doing right now. We're not waiting. We're working on it diligently. And Patrick, a month ago, had already proposed a budget. So it's nothing set in stone. I recognize that, but I think the community is desperate to know the process. I'm done.
Yes, please. And and so I don't know if, I don't know how we go about getting a short video about what the budget process looks like. I know they did a great one last year, but that was further down the road in terms of presenting the budget information as we knew it to be more like January. So I guess I would be curious. And so that's why we have to share what we know and then have those discussions, right? And that process, building budget in the process, that we are building the budget and what that process looks like. And so that questions can be kind of fired away as we're going through this time of year, rather than, well, this is what I know now and I'm going to vote, and then we're asking questions later. Kristen?
Yeah, I think perhaps what we could do is take this information to our next board meeting, and when we provide an update, the committee updates, we can present to the finance and facilities committee saying like, hey, this is what we're thinking for our meeting. This is our meeting date. Can you get something to us by then, so that we can start engaging with the community to get ahead of this process, to help them feel that they're part of the conversation, because it's been recognized, I think, for a while now that this process is something that it's something that everybody thinks about a lot, and it's obviously, been a big topic of conversation for people. So I think Beth makes a really good point.
Elisa?
I
Oh,
just,
sorry, Elisa.
it's Elisa. I just had clarifying question. So in what I think what I'm understanding, and I'd love you to tell me if I'm not on the right track. And so are we talking about trying to get in 2 community meetings before Christmas? Or 1?
So my hope, I'm just gonna say, is that I see this lineup that we had, one in each school, is really, really challenging. It really is.
Would they all happen at this on the same day, one in each school?
Interesting. I'd like to be at all of them. I'd like to
Yeah.
hear what everybody says to all of them because I went to all the other ones and there's so much in common. There's so much repetition and strengths and hopes and dreams that it's pretty empowering to hear all
Yeah,
of that.
yeah,
Feels really bonding.
for me.
Yeah, so I'd love to not have them, but I would love to see them be closer together as well. I think in November we've got to do this one that Beth is talking about, the building the budget process meeting and have it be district wide and have it be a typical community engagement. And then we're using what we hear then to
So,
at our meeting in December. But this other set could be at each school, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5. And this is it's a different it's a different opportunity, and I feel like it's a different space, that's not as, I don't know. It is hard, but I mean, so I guess I definitely for next year, if we do this well this year, we could have already said in the spring, people know that there will be meetings in October, and they know that already coming into the school year. We're slightly behind it, but
this is it's really the same issue that's repeated itself every year for several years. It's just kind of because you're so restricted by the calendar and the need to work with the budget. So I guess what am I trying to figure out is, to me, I thought we were talking about two very different kinds of community engagement. One that was really open about anything, not just the budget, and then one that was going to just focus on the budget, primarily focus on the budget.
I thought that's how we were thinking about
Oh,
it and talking about
oh,
it too. But I
so-
would also say that
Well,
if
let me
the
finish this.
budget isn't
Let me-
built,
can
I'm
you let-
sorry.
Thank you. So I'm just concerned if, I know the budget one is extremely important to do in November. I'm just not sure that there's enough of October left to generate enough people to come to one that is more open, and that maybe that one should be saved for January, February. And the one to focus on now is the budget one and do a really good job on it, rather than trying to do too much in too short a time and then not get the feedback to the people for the first one because the second one is coming right up and it's so important. It just doesn't make sense to me to cram that all in. That's all.
agreed. Thank you. Go ahead, Nancy. I agree. I
Well,
just am disappointed. That's all.
always in
Sorry.
my dreams, our budget would be based on what our communities and our board members see as what our schools are doing well and what are the opportunities for growth, and that the budget would be built around that, or at the very least, that the conversation about those questions would be part of the budget presentation. It rarely, if ever, is. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people vote down a budget, because they don't see the connection between an understanding of what our schools are doing well and an understanding of what the opportunities for growth people see. So I will understand. I think crunching it all together, like you said, Elisa, is a problem. Maybe the most we can get is planning for a spring kickoff for community-based conversations about those questions. But I would say if our work between now and the spring is about the budget, then I say, let's have big district-wide meetings and let them be what they are.
I have kind of a crazy idea, because I'm with you, Nancy. I think it would it would be a shame to get into budget planning season without understanding what our schools are doing well and where there's a missed opportunity. So what if we did a completely virtual event in October? We can position it as a round table based on the questions, what are we doing well? Where are opportunities for growth? We promote it on Front Porch Forum, we promote it on Facebook. I don't know, maybe we put up a couple of signs in a couple of grocery stores, make it really easy for people to join, do something super informal, and then, sorry, Liz, I see your face. Like, again, I don't know what I'm talking about. If this is totally crazy, tell me to be quiet, but that's just kind of my thought.
No, it's awesome. I really, because it is possible, and that's what this group is doing and doing well um is saying that that's something, right? Something, even if it's all virtual. And really, if in that the work that we do in a spring kickoff, it's got to start, I think, extending. We because we've worked so hard and had this happen every year, to saying in the fall, these are the dates that we will have these meetings, and we will do one in each town. Like that happens in the spring, that we tell people when the fall meetings are going to be. And how does everyone else feel about an all virtual? You put it out there and people come. It's one way, right? It's a different than the 12th, which is that budget meeting that will have a presentation, right? It's does everybody think that maybe we could pull off a virtual roundtable? I like the way of, and it takes out all the logistics. And no, it's not in person, but it could, if we're all virtual, then you can hear and see each other well, which is a challenge when it's hybrid.
Well, if it's all virtual, it's still, I mean, I think it's a fascinating idea. I will miss seeing you in person, but if we did it all virtual, it doesn't take away it doesn't take away the need for strategic facilitation that includes breakout rooms, the ability to have conversations with smaller virtual groups of people, and then coming back together. That's all possible on this platform. And certainly there are people in the district who know how to do that well. I mean, we have, our board has done some of that, I believe.
Yep.
So how to make sure, especially in a virtual environment, that that people have an opportunity for conversations with smaller groups and then sharing out from that group to the larger group, you know, that sort of thing. We can do that. But it takes a facilitator to design it, and it takes people who understand the Zoom technology to set it up.
That's literally my day job. I'm happy to take that on.
Oh my God. That's your day
Yeah.
job? Fabulous.
Yes.
You mean the technology or the facilitation or both?
Both. My job is all via Zoom, and I'm a facilitator, more or less.
We're
Cool.
very excited to have you as a part of the community engagement committee.
Yeah, so I'm curious, Meredith, I love your idea. I'm curious if we are presenting strengths and weaknesses, or are we gathering the community's feelings, thoughts, ideas about our strengths and weaknesses?
So this is my gut reaction, and with having just come up with this is like a very high level of how I could envision we run this. So the objective of the meeting is to get the community to discuss what are we doing well and where are opportunities for growth, so that we as a committee have data that we can bring to the board for the upcoming budget discussions in November. So I think what we do is we start with introductions, then we put everybody into some heterogeneous breakout groups. So everybody from different towns gets to talk to each other and in a small setting, answer the questions. What are we doing well? Where are there opportunities for growth? Then we come together, each breakout room discusses whole group, what they were talking about. We have a note keeper, maybe we're doing some sort of word cloud, pulling out some topics. And then once we have like our top 2 or 3 topics, we send people back into different breakout rooms to come up with ideas for how we could do better in our areas for growth. We discuss that whole group and then we adjourn. So super high level, that's I think one way that we could approach it. Not saying it's the best way, but how does everybody feel about that?
Meredith, it sounds great. How do you, what we're doing well and what the opportunities are for growth are different from school to school.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll need to consider that in terms of how we group people and how we, I mean, for the responses to those questions to be useful, they need to be as specific as possible.
That's true.
So having them be school-based is pretty key.
Okay.
But I love,
At least having people understand that their responses should be based on what they know about particular schools as well as what they know about the district as a whole. That's fine, but do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You
totally.
do. Okay.
I really like the mix up though, because I really like somebody from Starksboro and somebody from Bristol sitting next to each other and talking about how they love Big Partner Program. Right? Or how they had some behavior stuff that they brought to the board last year. They both did that too, right? So I think that there is more commonality and to start seeing each other and seeing the needs of your neighboring town as your own needs and the strengths of your neighboring town and seeing that I think is imperative to our future. Seeing, like hearing about something great going on at a neighboring school that you may not know about. I think that's really powerful to have people mixed up in that way. And they'll say it. They'll say, I'm from Bristol and this is what's going on here. They'll announce that ahead.
Well, it may make it trickier to distill what people say to a few things that everyone agrees to. The distilling part is certainly the trickiest part, but I'm not sure the distilling part is coming to consensus about a few solutions is as important as the board hearing and us all hearing from each other about the strengths and the opportunities for growth.
Right.
Yeah.
As a district, not as each individual town. My other thought is I'm still visualizing the round table because that's just where I'm a visual person, but at the round table, there was 12 seats. We knew who was going to be there. We knew who was invited. So Meredith, what if 99% of representation is from Bristol? Does it matter? Or how do we facilitate not knowing who's going to show up?
So as far as facilitating not knowing who's going to show up,
Right.
I think that's kind of the beauty of this exercise, that
Okay.
exactly like Nancy said, the people that show up are exactly the right people to be there. So I
Okay.
think we start with some sort of engagement activity. Maybe it's a poll, maybe we get cute and do a Kahoot or something. Just some sort of activity to get people to introduce themselves. And then when we put them into breakout rooms, the people that are there are the people that are having the discussion, and we'll listen to everybody no matter who they are. As far as what do we do if 99% of the people are in Bristol, having had limited opportunity to think about it, this isn't like 100% the right response, but I think if we're thorough in promoting this and we post on all of the town and all of the elementary school Facebook pages, if we post on our personal Facebook pages, if we post on Front Porch Forum, we can front load that and hopefully get people from different communities. But if 99% of the people are from Bristol, then we listen to them, we talk to them, and when we go back to the board, we say 99% of the people are from Bristol and we need to do something else to engage people from the other towns.
How many people can you design this for, Meredith?
So I've designed facilitations for up to like 200 people.
And
I-
then
Will show up.
each
Good for you.
each
I-
group, yay,
If
yes.
we have
So
more than 200, it'll be a happy problem.
yes. And the way that some of it has worked in the past has been, you know, each group pick a note taker and each group pick a designated, you know, timekeeper, right? So we ask, so when you do the breakup rooms, people will self-assign. Like I'm a comfortable note taker. So I would volunteer to, I mean, we would do that anyways as a board member, but we, any group I'm in, that's the spot I like. So people will volunteer and we just ask them to assign that, right? And we'll work it out. I just know that it's group size wise and is just related to the time. So that's as much as I really know about the planning is that there needs to be enough time for everybody to have a chance to kind of give their piece. But yay. So we think that we can do this and put this out and have something in October. And then on the 12th, it will start with a presentation and we will put out information that maybe has a little video and front load information for the November 12th and have that be a little more, this is what our understanding of what our challenges are, and then have a chance so that it's not, I feel like Nancy, you know, like some, you know, saying, hey, this is another, like just giving us a chance. Like if you and I were sitting together to talk to each other and be like, hey, that's not necessarily right. Like, and just actually having that community conversation back and forth rather than the January ones where it's really, you can ask some questions, but you can't have that back and forth and really that thoughtful processing of different perspectives that will be really useful for the board in December to sit there and have it with me, have what like have what community is saying with me when I'm sitting there and we're having a conversation. So I want the 12th to also be round tables and facilitated in the same sort of way, just front loaded with the information that our community asked for this spring. Does that make sense? So we're planning 2 meetings. And then what do we think for a date for October? We should have that, or when is the best time for this? It's the 8th, so
What
are
about
we comfortable with
Thursday, the 24th?
Thursday, the 24th?
I think potential conflict is that there's the evening family teacher conferences here from 3 to 8. But I think definitely not on a Tuesday.
Wednesday, the 30th?
Ah, that's also,
That's cabbage night.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
and there's also conferences, shoot.
I don't know the conference schedule, but I think trying to
I'm just
avoid the
looking at
conference
Tandem.
schedule is a good idea.
What about like
Right,
a
for
Saturday
teacher.
morning at like 10?
Ooh,
So Saturday, the
sorry?
25th.
what do we think of that? Saturday morning at 10, that sort of thing. What do we think? Are we evening or should we try a weekend time? And then we have a couple, I have a Patricia and a Patricia Hunt. And I would just want to welcome you and thank you for coming. I know Patricia, the other Patricia has been here for a while. Anyone can feel free to jump in at any time in the community engagement meetings and share thoughts about, it's a very open, relaxed meeting. So I just want to invite you both to just participate. Thank you. And then, so what do we think about timing? What are people's thoughts about weeknight versus weekend, morning, afternoon?
How much
Evening.
time do we need, Meredith?
An hour,
That's all, really?
maybe 90 minutes. I don't know. You guys would know better than me. What do you think?
You're absolutely fearless, aren't you?
I think an hour is good. And I think Saturdays are hard because of sports. I just, in my office alone, I hear there's constant football, soccer every Saturday morning, right, Liz? Like it's all everything. So, maybe that sweet spot in between the game and the next game. I don't know. If it's virtual, people can do it on the side of the field. I don't know. But I would think I would rather stick to the weekday. But
Are there any days between October 21st and October 31st that are a weekday that we don't already have something scheduled?
29th.
Can we do then?
Sounds great.
I can.
Yeah.
Sweet. So then just to summarize, Liz, you will send me over the past survey data, which we will compile into some form of infographic and say, this is where we've been. We want to start fresh for this year. So we're inviting you to a roundtable on the 29th. We'll promote it on French Forum, maybe like post it a couple of times. We'll post it on all the Facebooks. And we'll see who shows up. And I'll facilitate.
the chat with central office is 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. on the 29th. But that might be a good opportunity for those people that couldn't attend the chat with central office to be like, well, you can come at 6 or whenever we choose. So that's the only thing I see on the 29th that could be a conflict, but truly isn't because it's 7 in the morning.
I think probably early evening on the 29th.
Agreed.
Like, what would we say, 6:30 to 8:30?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think leaning towards the hour and a half or the hour even only because it feels less like my partner joined a Zoom meeting tonight. He's not one to do that, but it was an hour. And he said, okay, I'm doing this. I can do that. It feels less overwhelming.
Yeah.
So if we kind of, I don't know, I would lean towards a little bit. And then also a lot of people don't get home from work until 6. So yeah, 6:30 would be the earliest. 7. And I know my daughter goes to sleep at 7. So it's a lot easier for me then. And I don't not do story time and I don't not do all of those things because I'm here, right? So I don't know. Does 7 feel too late or 6:30 to 8? Is that or
Let's do 7 to 8. I like that. My daughter also goes to bed at 7. And I'm sure there are a lot of parents with toddlers and kids in elementary school and middle and high school that have a similar issue.
I think we need 90 minutes minimum.
Let's do 7 to 8:30.
7? Yep. Yay. That's awesome. I'm excited about this. That we're gonna make it happen. And we'll learn from it, right? And it'll give us a starting point for moving forward. And then so yeah, I like
Are
to
we
summarize.
then, are we also then also committed to a series maybe of spring community meetings in each of the schools?
I think it's the appropriate place to kind of take the temperature.
And the only thing that would probably get in the way, I hate to say it, but maybe it wouldn't, is if we start having a series of budget defeats.
I know.
But I think we should do it anyway and not let it be about the budget specifically.
Yeah.
So maybe we're talking about April, May, and June.
Yes. I like that a lot.
And this is way in the
Yep.
future, but I know our communities do a lot of things in the summertime. And I would love for us to get a couple of floats, a couple of stands, just instead of asking the community always to come to us, find opportunities for us to go to them.
Yep. Yep, we missed it. I think we already missed it, but we've had a stand at the Harvest Festival before. We've put up stands at soccer games. Um, there's some really good stuff out there. There's some really great opportunities to go to people. Yeah, that's, and we could focus on that in springtime too and be really intentional about everybody signing up for something to go somewhere. And the banner just said, "Let's talk." That's all it said. There was like, just come to us. We're here. Let's talk, right? So we could just keep that. People might be familiar and know that what that kind of means. It's related to your school board. That's us over there. So yay. All right. And then I will write. Okay, so at the next board meeting, we'll maybe get a full board plan for the 12th and discuss getting the details together for that. Does that make sense? Or does this group feel like we have any more planning we could do around the 12th? And it may not be a full board event either, but I certainly would like to pair with the finance committee to do that evening.
So the 12th, is that going to be the community meeting for the budget? The 12th?
Yep.
Okay.
And I don't see why we can't, frankly, have the same two questions. What is going well and what do we see as opportunities for growth? Those are also good questions for that meeting. And another night to get more data from a different group to
Well, it
put
may not
together.
necessarily be a different group, though.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, if somebody wants to fill it out twice, that's fine. We'll take it.
Maybe,
be
you know,
right.
maybe, some people like seeing the sausage being made. And maybe November is a chance for people to learn. I mean, this would be something the board would need to plan and the administration, but sometimes it would be nice, I think, for people to see what are the options that the board and the administration are weighing, you know,
Yeah.
rather than see a conclusion
Mm-hmm.
or a recommendation or a proposal, maybe seeing a little bit more about how the sausage is made.
Yeah. First person I think of is Alan.
Yeah. Let's do it. That's got to be the 12th. That can be our headline, how the sausage is made, right? Like that's
Like,
the-
like we, you know, if we're still in that same place, we think we need to cut somewhere between $2 and $2.6 million. And here are the sorts of things we're thinking about and weighing, and here's how we're making these decisions in terms of what we think we're going to be proposing. I mean, it's, you know, maybe people need to see how complicated it really is.
Mm-hmm.
Can we
and a lot of
the local farm to bring sausage for snacks for that meeting?
Vermont Smoking Jerk.
But really good sausage snacks, right?
right. And we can go and we can talk about also, you know, again, things that are going well. That's also, there's always the chance to do that. The setting up, sharing courses with the work, being in the works of sharing courses with Virgins and getting more access to programming that way. The
The
things
work
that
of
are
Up for
happening.
Learning. I mean, the work that Up for Learn people
Yeah.
are doing with Up for Learning will be, I mean, wouldn't it be great for November to be a place where people learn about what are the things that we're trying to preserve, the things that we're doing well that we're trying to preserve in building this budget, and the things that we see as opportunities for growth that we're trying to build into this budget, even though it looks like we have to make some big cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be great.
And maybe our legislators could show up and talk to us about how they're going to help us.
Opportunities for growth. Yeah, I mean, we'll send the invitations out far and wide. Absolutely.
Or at least
Yep.
maybe they could come and listen.
Yeah.
They won't be in session yet, so they'll have a lot of free time.
Yeah, I still am a fan of sending the to all of our select board members, all of our everybody that we know, like the email for this one. I just took a list of people's emails and just was like all the people, right? Like just anyone and everyone that you can think of. You just let them know what's happening, right?
So where would
I just
that
wanna-
meeting be in November, Liz?
Nowadays,
In the library?
maybe we'd need the cafeteria. The library just has the best sound, right, Beth? Isn't that why we and Kristen? Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it works. I mean, it works. The people who are there, they need to be seated closer to the board, because otherwise it's not good sound. And I don't know what the
Oh,
sound is like for folks who attend virtually.
it's the best system for virtual is on there, I think.
Yeah,
I haven't had a problem hearing virtually, but and then the auditorium is like, oh, you could also set that up really nicely, but you're so far away. It just
Yeah.
feels like
yeah.
you're not in the same room.
Maybe the
Cafeteria was a
cafeteria
little
is
tricky.
better.
I was gonna say the
Maybe.
cafeteria might be better because the seating is such, people can sit at tables together in,
True.
kind of random
Yep.
groups. And just thinking back to last year, there was I think there was a VSAC meeting in there. With the big screen that comes down, and I think that the cafeteria would probably be a pretty welcoming space.
And
Right?
we
Leave
have-
the lunch tables up. Yeah. Leave the lunch tables out and just go for it. Yeah.
But it would be great if that November meeting put on by the full board and the administration could be somewhat participatory. I mean, we've had success with some meetings in that large cafeteria where people do break out into people get some information, they do break out into groups, they post reactions or ideas on chart paper on the walls, and then get a chance to to tour each other's thoughts, do a gallery walk kind of thing. It'd be nice if it were kind of interactive.
Yes.
I think it's less intimidating that way too. I think
And we
it's
can
less
do that. We can
intimidating
do
if
that in
do
November.
somewhere other than in the
Sorry.
library too.
Yeah.
That's a November thing. I love it. It's just was hard. I think Meet TV was the only ones that were like, ooh, the cafeteria is tricky. But that's okay, right? That's okay. So we will. We'll start planning that. And so I don't know if they're gonna if the
Can I ask another sort of unrelated question, but it's kind of related? I was just thinking tonight about how lots of board members really are, I mean, they're governing 5 schools, but some of them probably haven't been in all of those schools. And I'm just, after the consolidation happened, there was some talk about moving regular board meetings, around and having them take place in some of the different, in all of the different schools. It's not easy. It's not as easy as going to the library for a meeting, but it just strikes me that if part of engagement is about being accessible in each town, and I just wonder if there's a chance to resume the practice of
yeah,
meeting in different schools.
yeah, it was really nice when we did that. And I know not as many people attended, right, the tours that happened beforehand, except for Mount Abe with the work that needed to be done. A lot of people came to that tour. But even just as a board member, right? I liked walking around the school and seeing the makerspace and the bottom of New Haven, right? Like that, highly value that, and thank you for bringing it up. And that should definitely be one of, I'm hoping as a committee, we think that that should be a recommendation for the full board, that we resume rotating schools. That,
I don't know if I can make a motion to that effect, but I'd be happy to.
well, because I didn't have it on the agenda,
Oh,
but
right.
we will write it as a strong recommendation, and we will all bring it up when we talk about what we discussed this evening. How about that?
Does
And then
everyone
at our
agree?
next meeting, I'll put it on it. If everybody agrees, I'll put it on the next agenda and make it a formal
Yeah.
motion. Cool. Yay. Thank you, Nancy. And then, okay, so for the next agenda, that brings us there. Does anybody have anything else to follow up about our October or November meeting, engagements?
I know that budget is something that's an ongoing concern for the community. It seems like just on Facebook, the community is raising questions around communication regarding like safety drills, like for example, clear the halls, things like that. I don't know if it warrants to be on the agenda, but maybe just something we can think about in our overall strategy is how do we communicate with families around our safety strategy? Did that make any sense? And is this the wrong place to bring this up? Because
Well,
sorry if it is.
if Meredith, if you're hearing concerns from the community about anything, it's really important to let the school administration or really the district administration, Patrick, know what concerns people are raising and where you're seeing that. Because
Gotcha.
so
Sorry.
if you haven't done that, please really do, because that's you're an important conduit of information. I'm sure that the principal and Patrick will want to know that, because they'll want to think about what kind of information they want to get out and when to answer people's
Sorry, I was
questions
thinking
about
more
that.
along the lines of like, it seems like there's just been chatter on some Facebook pages and maybe just a general like, hey, we hear ya. We're listening to you. I don't know.
Yeah,
But-
I don't recommend that.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
We're not gonna, yeah, we've been very direct not to respond to social media. That being said, incidents that are happening in the building that reach a point, as a school board member, you will be informed and you will have opportunity to discuss it. But yeah, that's a big hole we don't want to go into. There's a lot on Facebook, and like Nancy said, anytime you see anything that you want to discuss, let myself know as Director of Student Support Services, Patrick, building principal. But I do believe you get firsthand information about a lot of incidences as a school board member. But social media is a big issue, and we do talk about it at the admin level quite a bit. And we've all made a commitment not to respond. I think Facebook, we've even taken comments, like our Facebook page, because it's gotten so bad where we post something for an opening and there's 10 comments about, well, why didn't you down? You know, it just, so we're being really thoughtful and careful. So yeah.
Thank you.
It's
And
tough.
I
Yeah.
apologize for my
No, not at
lack
all.
of knowledge, for
No, it's a huge issue.
speaking too much. I'm just,
No, not at all.
okay. Thank you. Thank you all for speaking so kindly to me.
And I think that was a really neat way to actually bring up both of the points, right? Tell administration, which is what we do, and also that Facebook is an example of what conversations can look like when we're not in person, right? But I would say that, so it makes that when you said it, I thought of our spring list of community, what we used to respond to the community surveys that we had around the budget. And so there was just informational buckets right? About like, what do our services look like? And I know that even that was hard, but you know, it could go on a list of what generally safety protocols are in our district and how we generally, I don't know, it might be, I would suspect it's not very different from school to school. I would suspect that the intent is for it to be similar from school to school, the responses. So that could just be a general, you know, a bullet of some information that administration felt was consistent across schools that we could put on there, and definitely staying far away from anything that's really specific to a student. Anytime I hear information that makes me feel like I'm in their IEP meeting or I'm in their like parent teacher conference, I'm like, I'm way too far out of that to connect with it appropriately and to have the kind of information I would want in order to engage in that conversation, right? So but just generally, we could do a bucket about that. Like we talk about food services, we have one director that does these, and these are our processes, right? So I think that would be a way that we could respond. That would be appropriate. An FAQ type of way. Is that
Maybe even just signaling to the community that we hear their need for communication and we have these policies in place, and just demonstrating that we're listening.
I think we could do that. I think we could find a way to do that. Yeah. That makes sense, Beth. Does that sound
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And I think the bucket is communication. Like if people are communicating via Facebook, and oftentimes, I shouldn't say often, but the majority, it's not accurate.
Yeah.
And then it becomes hysteria and fear-based. And so how can we communicate concerns and get feedback from the people that know the facts per se?
So that is Meredith also, I mean, maybe this goes without saying, but I guess I'll just say it anyway, that now that you're a school board member, you may find that people come to you directly with complaints, with concerns. And it's really tempting to try to fix what's wrong yourself. But the thing that it's very important to have discipline to do is to help those people, help direct them to the people who can really help them. Sometimes it's the principal, sometimes it's a child's teacher to start, sometimes it's the superintendent. But people need to learn how to, you know, that it's okay to call a teacher, call the principal, call the superintendent with concerns. But you should not try to be the mediator who brings the problem to say the superintendent. If a person really can't bring themselves to call the superintendent or the principal because they're afraid to, you can offer to bring their talk to the principal about their problem, but it's much better if they themselves can go and directly try to solve it themselves.
I completely agree, Nancy, and I think I didn't communicate well, and I think I didn't represent myself well in bringing this up. It's just, as we're the community engagement committee and as we're thinking about topics for the next agenda, it seems like this is a topic that our community members care about, which is communication and our communication policies around safety type incidents in buildings. And I'm wondering if this is something that we want to discuss as far as our community engagement plan, or if this is something that we're just like, nope, this isn't in our purview, let's move on.
It's the very sort of topic that when we have regular school-based meetings, such as the ones we're going to start in the spring, it's the very sort of topic that can be appropriately talked about in person in those meetings without it revealing individual personal information. It's one of the purposes of having those school-based meetings, so people, because it's an example of, you know, an opportunity for a school to grow.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I like it. That ties it together really well. It's true. Good. So for the next agenda, our meeting is the 13th. Hold on, no, wrong year. Okay.
Looks like
It's on the
next meeting
bottom
is
of-
11/5.
Yeah, 11:05. Okay. So at 11:05, I imagine it'll be too late. I mean, to do much, maybe a final push on social media for the,
Are we really
Um,
meeting on the night of the election?
no, we rescheduled that. We did reschedule that at the last meeting where to the 12th. So maybe we don't have that. So the 12th being this, right? Okay. So that's why I didn't have it clear in my mind. So our next official meeting, which would probably be, a lot of it will be processing what we hear on the 29th and what we hear for, I don't know, not processing, reflecting on the 29th and the 12th, right?
So our next meeting isn't on the 12th either. Do we know when it would be? Not yet.
The first Tuesday of the following month? Sorry, I should have had that on this agenda. That, yeah, we had
December 3rd.
yeah. Feels wildly far away, but it's not, right? So I have that in here. So that would be us figuring out, probably communicating back out what we hear from the 12th and the 29th, and looking at our communication needs at that point, perhaps, right? I don't know. What would anyone else like to see on the agenda for the 3rd? I possibly starting to plan our spring, maybe working on planning the January. The
I
other
hate to
So
say
budget
it, but
meeting.
we may need to
I
just
don't
kind of
know.
put our feet, like, see what the budget's looking like, because that could be just thinking back to, no, what was it, December 3rd last year, Liz?
Yeah,
When we, the bomb was dropped. So, maybe,
leave it open, just leave the
I think
3rd
so.
flexible. Okay,
what are you leaving open?
the 3rd,
Just,
the
just in
agenda
case the
for the
governor
3rd.
drops a budget bomb on us again,
But
like he did
who's
last year.
who's going to do the planning for November 12th? Will that be something that Liz, you do with the administration or with
Yeah, I mean,
you and Kristen and Meredith plan it with the administration?
I'd be happy to. What do you think? Because the only thing I'm worried about is that our next board meeting isn't, well, our board meeting is on the 22nd. If we could maybe that makes good sense to meet, if administration has any time, if to meet for a little bit and make a more solid plan for the 12th. And then when we meet as a full board on the 22nd, we could have a pretty tight game plan to present. Or do you think we should wait until the 22nd and finish the planning for the 12th then? I'm just worried about running out of time to get the word out. That is still 1, 2, 3 weeks ahead though, if we made final decisions then.
Well, up to you. I mean, I do think you all will, we've had a good discussion about what that could look like, so.
Yeah,
I think we need to get it on the next agenda for a regular business meeting, and we can maybe slice and dice from there.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
make some final, and at least Beth's got the heads up that we might be asking for some sort of presentation in the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. And plus we'll get a
and
better
word.
idea of what the finance and facilities group talked about. Did they meet tonight? I think so. I don't know.
I don't,
No, finance isn't meeting tonight, is it? I
They
just
could
saw
see-
policy and governance and
Oh, I think you're right. But that'll give them a chance to kind of come back, you know, let us know where things are. And same with Floyd, he can give us kind of an overview of what he's seeing and hearing too.
And then we have an idea of what that might look like. And then, so we will see you all on the 22nd and the 29th. I will see you on the 29th. So that's exciting. I look forward to it. I assume it will go very well. So I guess, okay, I'm being slow. All right, we did a lot tonight. I feel really good about the direction we're going in. Feels like it'll be really productive and really reflective of what we've been hearing for a long time. So that's nice.
And
And
thank you,
yeah.
everybody, for sticking with me as I learn how to do this. I appreciate you all.
we're all
Thank you
learning,
for-
Meredith, as we go. None of us have been in this moment before. It's all new.
Yes, and thank you for offering to facilitate the 29th. That's a big deal to have that in place. So appreciate it.
Can I
Um,
request somebody to help with reading the chat and putting people into breakout rooms? Cool. Thank you, Liz.
Got it. Thank you. So when I read okay, so maybe we'll just have a little phone conversation before then and just make sure that I've got my to-do list and
Yes.
what to do with the chat. Okay. And Kristen, thank you so much for doing the notes, and Beth and Nancy, and everybody. Appreciate it. So we'll adjourn at 7:54. All right.
Beth, it was lovely meeting you.
Yeah,
Nancy,
you
Kristen,
too.
Liz, nice
Yeah.
seeing you again.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.